made the book thing not have the same impact when you're trying to be taken seriously as a writer. So everything happens for a reason, and you never know what following a certain passion might lead you down another better road.
I have kind of a little untraditional story. I worked in publishing after I graduated college. So I had always knew I wanted to be a writer. I studied creative writing. Actually, I knew. Yeah. But yeah, so I loved reading. I loved writing. But the idea of being a writer was so terrifying to me. And I didn't know any writers. I didn't know anyone who's doing that as a profession. In my head, I felt like writers were these strange weirdos, like eating in their sweatpants, like writing all day, like eating SpaghettiOs out of a can, like that was how I saw it. And my parents, God bless them, are so supportive now, but we're also not exactly thrilled at the idea. When I did quit my job, we're not exactly thrilled at the idea of like their daughter becoming a writer, so I worked in publishing for a while, and it was interesting. I just, I started meeting a lot of writers through my job. I worked in editorial. One of the writers in it was John Cheska. He writes children's books, and he's a really great guy, and has kind of like, mentored me a little bit along the way. And I realized like, oh, this is a normal person. That's a normal person. Like they have lives, and they're not wearing sweatpants, stained with SpaghettiOs. This is actually a reality. This can happen. And kind of through that, I realized I would never be satisfied just working on other people's books. And through that, like right around the time I was getting to go do an MFA, which is just grad school for writing, I met my editor and I did a smaller middle grade series before I did Eve. And it was interesting. Like I wrote Sloan Sisters as the middle grade series, and it's cute and it's super fun. And Eve would not be the book it is without that series. But I do feel like this book is my first YA book, and it was like it took that series to get here. And this has so much more of me in it, and is so much more personal that sometimes, like you said, you kind of have to like find your way through the books you write. Yeah. And sometimes you leave trails of paperback middle grade novels.
Or dusty screenplays.
Yeah, I know, right?
Since each of you on some level have success in this YA arena, do you ever go back and look at your work as critiques and criticisms and reviews come out, and do you have self-doubt that goes back and says, well, I really could have done that different, or I really didn't express what I was trying to do the best there, and someone may pick apart some specific piece or idea you have at?
Yeah, I'll just say yes. I don't know. I do have self-doubt, and I feel like if I'm being honest, I mean, I could certainly like sit up here and be like, no, every word I write is perfect. But I find even now it's hard to look at a book because I'll see like, oh, you know what? I would have changed that sentence just a little bit, or I would have added just a little bit. It's never like super off, but I think what keeps me going is just looking forward at what's next and what I'm doing now, today, and in the next week and the week after that. Because I think it was funny, I was up with a bunch of authors in Portland this weekend, and we were talking about how you really can fall down the rabbit hole of reviews. Like you can go on the internet and find the people saying every sort of crazy thing about you. Some people you're like, did I know you in another life? Did I kill your mother in another life? Like,
did you even read the book?
Yeah, or did you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so.
You're like, that didn't
So
happen.
it feels kind of, in some ways, I feel like I've arrived at this place where it feels kind of useless. And to me, the best thing anyone can say to me is like, when does your next book come out? Or what's next? Like, what's your next project? So I try to look ahead as opposed to look back. But there is always that lurking self-doubt.
Yeah, I think as you get, like with every book, you get better, and so of course you're going to look back and see things. Like writing the second book, I feel like I've grown, the sequel to Timeless, I feel like I've grown so much that I will look back at this and sometimes see things like, oh, I wish I had, similar to you, where it's not like huge plot things, but just, I wish this word had been different, or this sentence, but But I mean, at the same time, I kind of like that each book it stands in time as like where you were when you wrote it, and there's something great about it. And who knows if we were to like go back and rewrite our old books, they might not have that same like magic about them. So.
Well, it's like George Lucas every time he monkeys with
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like, don't touch it. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Leave Star Wars alone. So I mean, for me, it's just I'm enormously proud that I got published. Like I still can't believe it even that I wrote something pretty much in my pajamas and people read it. Like that's not the best thing ever. But you could go through and endlessly pull yourself apart, but that's not how you become a better writer. You know, the way to always think is to keep writing, and listen to your support group, listen to other writers, listen to people that your editor, your agent, will constantly improve your writing. And there are things about this I look at them and I'm like, oh, that was a little melodramatic, Josephine. You don't have to word it just like that. And sometimes I'll get a little blushy about it, but at the same time, you have to be like, no, I'm super proud of my work because not many people get a chance to see their book published, and not many people get a chance to sit up at a panel like this. And if it does happen to you, and for any writers out there, I really hope it does. It's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling, and it's just an enormous amount of gratitude. And I would never look back on this and be like, what a piece of trash. It got published.
What you're describing is